What are your experiences working in a bank?
For me, working for a bank ended up being my lifelong career. For someone who hadn't gone to college, I was able to learn the many different functions and processes and was able to eventually move into a management position where I am today. Although there have been many changes, it has been a very good experience overall.
In Auburn, Maine, banking started in 1855. The Danville Bank at Auburn was Auburn's first bank, authorized on February 28, 1855. It was located on Main Street. 1 week later, on March 6th, the bank name was changed to the Auburn Bank. On April 19th of that same year, the organization was completed. The Auburn Bank converted to a national bank in March of 1864, being the third bank in Maine to do so. Through some rough transactions, the First National Bank of Auburn became the first Auburn Trust Company. The bank moved into many buildings, including Phoenix Block and 78 Main Street. By 1903, the First National Bank of Auburn had the finest banking rooms of any bank in the two cities. In July of 1917, the First Trust Company purchased the Russ Bradbury Livery Stables and built the building into which it moved in July of 1918. The First Auburn Trust Company is now a branch of the Casco Bank. The Auburn Savings Bank was authorized by the legislature on March 16, 1867, and was organized on February 21, 1868. The bank opened for business on March 1st of that same year, joined with the First National Bank of Auburn. At one point, the two banks were located in the same banking rooms, on the second floor of Phoenix Block on Main Street. These two banks were the first mutual savings bank in Auburn and Lewiston. On May 27, 1885, the Auburn Savings Bank moved to the ground floor at 78 Main Street. The first president of the Auburn Savings Bank was Jacob H. Rope. In October 1902, following the closing by voluntary liquidation of the Auburn Trust Company, the Auburn Savings Bank purchased the three-story brick block known as Elm Block, just above the corner of Court and Main Streets. It was the only bank in these two communities having a school savings department, with 7,834 accounts belonging to not only school children of Auburn, but also the surrounding towns of Minot, Mechanic Falls, Poland, Turner, and the Lisbon area. Mechanic Savings Bank was the second mutual savings bank to be chartered in Auburn, the charter date being February 16, 1875. On February 27th, a group of men met in the counting room of the John F. Cobbett and Company. It was the first meeting of a new mutual savings bank. John F. Cobb and Company was a shoe manufacturing company located in the Pickard Block. The bank commences business in May of 1875 at Auburn Hall Block, sharing rooms jointly with the National Shoe and Leather Bank. These two banks remained in the Auburn Hall Block until June 1889, when the Mechanic Savings Bank at 79 Main Street was ready to be occupied. Mechanic Savings Bank was serving not only the banking and business lives of the community, but also the religious and cultural fields as well, by making loans to various Protestant churches here and to the YMCA. During the years 1892 and 1893, the success was gone and the bank was in depression. This depression had its huge effect on the bank. The John F. Cobb and Company failed and brought about a change in the management. 1916 found the country in the World War, and Mechanic Savings Bank participated in the Liberty Loan Bond Program. By 1921, gradual increase was evident. Application for the charter for Auburn Loan and Building Association was made to the state examiner on April of 1887. Charter was granted on May 14th of that same year. The organization meeting was held in Auburn Hall May 17th, and the first business was transacted June 6th. The first office was desk room with J.W. Mitchell at 34 Court Street. In 1887, the office was moved to Elm Block and soon after to the office of J.P. Hutchinson Company, then at 83 Main Street. In 1959, the name was changed to Auburn Savings and Loan Association to better express the two principal functions of the business. With all the technology changes in banks over the years, the banking process would be a lot more difficult. Today we can just go on our smartphones and check out our bank accounts, and there was no way to do that back then. Even within the past 10 years, technology has greatly impacted the way people bank. With all of the people using banks, it would almost be impossible to run banks around here because there would be so many accounts and not enough people to work. How would you say your interaction is with customers?
In today's world, as much as we focus on customer experience, being a smaller bank definitely had its benefits. You knew the majority of the customers that came in or called on a more personal level. With that said, satisfying our customers is still a top priority today, and we are always looking for ways to improve upon it.
How do you feel technology has changed the way you bank?
Technology is probably the biggest change in the banking industry across the board. Back in the 70s and 80s, everything was manual and paper-driven. Yes, everything was hand-keyed into a system to balance the bank at the end of the day. The physical paper checks were exchanged between institutions via a courier. Today, everything is done through image, exchanging files between banks. Back in the 70s, there wasn't even a thought that we would be getting money out of an ATM machine, and less of a thought that we would have the ability to take a picture of a check and deposit it to our account using a mobile device. Times and technology have changed dramatically and will continue to change going forward. We are now just starting to see the use of robotics in some of our processes. Stay tuned for more to come.